This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, all, good morning. Welcome back. Yeah, so yesterday we discussed about auto scaling, right? So someone pinged me and asking some question. So what is the issue? So you are unable to create notifications. Yeah, so I'll give you a solution after this session. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You can try. Yeah, you can try once. So it's very simple. So you can create new topic and give a new topic, and you can add that. It will automatically add it. Okay. So you can try that. If you are unable to do that, just ping me again. So I'll give you a solution. Okay. Fine. So yesterday we discussed about two types of scaling: horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, right? So horizontal scaling we already created. So vertical scaling is not really scaling. It is not really scaling. It is the manual process. Okay. So we'll see that. It will not take much time.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, first one is, let's, yesterday we have created the horizontal scaling, right? So is there any threshold limit for that? Like it keeps on increasing, or do we set a limit like only particular number of servers will be auto created and after one point of time it doesn't get? Do we have any such limit?
Yeah. So good question. So basically, as per the requirement, as per the project requirement, so we can add, so whatever base missions required, desired capacity, minimum capacity, maximum capacity. So maximum capacity limitation is there. So as per the subscription, if the customer is the premium customer, so I think maximum 900 servers, 900 hard servers. I'm not sure about it. I need to check that actually. So we haven't tried in our environment actually. So 900 plus servers, some limitation is there. So maximum capacity. So that I need to check once. Okay, I'll check it out and I'll update.
Okay,
in the...
another one. Okay, sir, another one. And you said as a DevOps engineer, like we won't be creating the auto scaling, right? So in the real-time environment, like what kind of issues, like what kind of tickets do you get? Like how do you deal with this? Do you really get any issues on this one?
Yeah, good one. Fine. So basically, as a DevOps engineer, what we will do? So how we'll maintain auto scaling? Okay. So basically, so we will not get chance to create auto scaling in real time because only one time we'll create. So if it is a startup company, if you are first person in the company, so you will get a chance to create auto scaling. And also, so troubleshooting part, so maintenance part. So for example, yeah, what are the issues we'll get? What kind of tickets we'll get? What are the, what we need to do? So you're asking, right? So normally what will happen? So when any server is launching, so when that CPU utilization is high, okay, normally threshold will give some threshold, CPU utilization threshold. So whenever application is running, okay, when it is utilizing maximum, when it reaches to 80% of the CPU utilization, so it will add servers. So while adding servers, what will happen? It will give some errors while adding servers. So it will give some errors. By the time we'll get notified through emails. So as per the notifications we created, so we'll get notified through emails. So we need to check that notifications. So for example, one server is launching. So by the time it is not allowing. Okay. So by the time we'll get alert. So normally in our project, So we have assigned some resources to that auto scaling. They will monitor 24/7. Okay. So whenever any server is launching, whenever it is not allowing to launch, by the time we need to involve. So what we need to do, sometimes what will happen, AMI, whatever AMI we have assigned, that will not allow. Amazon mission image, whatever image, customized image, so we created, that will not allow sometimes. Okay, that we need to check AMI proper. So AMI is properly available or not. If it is not available, so we need to recreate AMI and we need to assign. And also that is one issue. And next one is network issues. Sometimes what will happen, if any network is down, okay, so servers will not be, so automatically servers will be created. So that is very that we need to monitor, that we need to take action, because client will get bill. So for example, network is down without any business, okay, so what will happen, additionally servers will be added. So by the time we need to involve, we need to cut that, okay, billing we need to cut, otherwise client will get more bill, so they will ask you, the issue will be escalated. Okay, and another issues like whenever server is terminating, so whenever there is no demand, by the time servers will be terminated, right? So by the time also we'll get some alerts, we'll get notified through emails. So while terminating, if the server is not terminating, okay, so we need to check. So sometimes what will happen, okay, while terminating these servers, okay, so there also some communicate, like network issues will be happen. Network issues, servers will not be terminated, so bill will be generated. So that also we need to check it out. Okay, we need to check. Yeah. So these are the scenarios, normal scenarios. Okay.
The last one, you said like the auto scaling will be enabled only at the beginning of the project, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So what if somebody, like there's an ongoing project and the requirement says that you have to enable auto scaling in middle of the project, like it's already an ongoing. So is it possible to do that? So we cannot do, right? Like in the middle, we cannot enable auto scaling.
Yes, yes, we can enable. So in the middle of the project, yeah. So for example, one project is going on. We are working with one project. So we got some new requirement. Auto scaling need to be enabled. Auto scaling required. So till now they are using manually. So they want to enable auto scaling. So by the time, what we will do? So we can work with, we can raise a case with vendor. For example, you are only the person. You and some couple of team members are there. So we can take support from vendor. So vendor will give you 100% support. Even though if you are unable to create EC2 instance, if you raise a case with vendor, he will guide you how to create EC2 instance. So because client will pay the bills to vendor, vendor will give you full support. So whatever activities you want to do, so for that you can take support from a vendor. If you raise a case with vendor, he will connect with you. Okay, so he will guide you, whatever activity you are performing, he will guide you, and until you complete that activity, he will be online.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Right? Yeah, fine.
Sir, while choosing AMI, hello.
Yeah, Shailesh, can you come again?
Hello. Yes, sir. There is we are maintaining desired capacity, minimum capacity, and maximum capacity.
Yeah.
We already maintained the desired capacity. Then what is the purpose to maintain the minimum capacity? So this free text, I suppose I maintain the desired capacity 1 and minimum capacity 2. Then it's total wrong configuration. So what is the maintain to maintain the minimum capacity? We already maintained the desired capacity. What is the purpose to maintain minimum capacity?
Yeah, that is thumb rule actually. That is thumb rule. So we have desired capacity, for example, 25 servers. Okay. So minimum capacity also 25. So that is thumb rule. Minimum capacity, so we need to give. Maximum capacity is important. So as per your last 3 months request, how you are receiving, based on that, you will give maximum capacity.
Okay, there is no that's a difference between desired capacity and minimum capacity.
There is nothing is there. That is thumb rule actually. So minimum should be required. Some minimum required, right? That is why we give minimum. Yeah. Others, someone talk something, right?
Sir, how do you know which AMI to select while creating? Not while creating the auto scaling. In the initial stage also, we need to select AMI, right? So they are a bit different than we see in AWS marketplace.
AMI basically in real projects, what we will do, we use customized AMI. We created customized AMIs, right? When we talk about AMI, we don't use predefined AMIs here. We use customized AMI.
But I was unable to select customized AMI, sir. Not in the not while creating this auto scaling groups. In the first stage also, generally there are two steps, right? In the first step also, we need to select AMI, sir. I mean, if possible, can you open that auto scaling once?
Understand. Your question, I understand that. But customized AMI, we cannot select here. In our test lab, we cannot select. So because we require some subscription, okay, then only we can select customized AMI. So here what we can do, we can select predefined AMIs. So the same way, one option will be there, customized AMI. So in real console, if possible, I'll show you later point of time, real console, okay? So because firewall will stop me to show you, because at a time we cannot connect two networks. So we are connecting GoToMeeting, right? The same way at a time we cannot connect VPN. So this is my personal laptop actually, official laptop. When I connect, I'll try to show you real console. Okay.
Okay.
So always we use customized AMI. We don't use predefined AMIs. Okay. Any other questions before moving to vertical scaling? Fine. So vertical scaling is not really real scaling. It is a manual process. So normally vertical scaling will not be recommended for big, will not recommended big organizations. So they don't use vertical scaling. So startup companies, they use vertical scaling. So what is vertical scaling? How we can perform this, we'll try to understand. So normally vertical scaling means, so for example, one DB server is there. So we are working on some DB server. Okay, so while working on DB server, so middle of the activity, it is giving some performance issue. So we are working on DB server, database server, middle of the activity, we are performing some activity. So middle of the activity, it is giving some performance issue. So by the time, what we will do, we'll stop that server. So if you want to scale vertically, so we need to stop the server. That is why it is not recommended to big organization. It will not use in big organization. Okay, vertical scaling is not recommended. So startup companies only they use. So while working on database server, so middle of the activity, so it is giving performance issue. By the time, if you want to scale that server, so we need to stop that server first. Then only we can increase the resource, right? So horizontal scaling means it will increase servers. Vertical means what will happen? It will increase compute resources, RAM, CPU, hard drive, right? Yeah, for example, so this is the server, okay? So I do one thing, I create new server. This is Docker servers, important servers. If anything happened, so setup will be gone. I create one server here. Yeah, so this is a T2 micro server. Okay, so T2 micro means what is the RAM and what is the CPU?
1 GB RAM, one CPU.
Yeah, 1 GB RAM, one virtual CPU. So when we take normally in real-time projects, we don't use T2 micro because only 1 GB RAM, one virtual CPU, right? Fine. So for example, this server is in production. Okay, it is in database. Some database is running on this server. Okay, so we are performing one activity. So this is a T2 micro server. Okay, so while working on this activity, so the server is giving performance issue. We are getting some performance issue. So by the time, how to increase the resources? So very first thing, we need to stop the server. Okay, select server instance, stop instance. Yeah, now it is stopped. Fine. So now, so currently this is T2 micro. So, but T2 micro is not sufficient. So I want to increase to T2 medium or T2 large. Okay. So T2 micro means, let us check that once quickly. So T2 micro means one virtual CPU, 1 GB RAM, right? So this is T2 micro, one virtual CPU, 1 GB RAM. So if I select T2 large, two virtual CPUs and 8 GB RAM, right? I want to change to T2 large. Fine. Select your server. First, we need to stop the server. Select the server. Go to actions. Yeah, instance settings. Go to instance settings. Change instance type. Click on change instance type. See here, by default, it is showing T2 micro. Instance type is T2 micro. So here you can change T2 large or T2 X large, whatever you want to change, you can change. I want to change to T2 large. So T2 large is having two virtual CPUs and 8 GB RAM, right? So T2 large, apply. Now it is changed to T2 large. See here. Now we can start the server and you can use this. Okay, this is the way we need to change. It is manual process. It is not really scaling. So startup companies, they use this. Startup companies, when they need any additional resources, they will stop the servers and they will increase the resources. So, but T2 large is not free of cost. It is billing. T2 micro only free of cost. So when you change T2 large, when you start the server, bill will be started. Okay, don't change and don't power on these servers. Okay, because bill will be generated. Just you can test it out like this. You can stop the server and you can change, but you don't start and you don't use that server. Okay, fine. So I'm terminating the server. Any questions here? Yeah, so it is terminated. Next. Yeah, so actually we plan to discuss about EFS today, but it's already 30 minutes long, right? So EFS will take 1 hour. So tomorrow we'll work on EFS. Today we work on CloudWatch. So CloudWatch we haven't discussed, right? CloudTrail we discussed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So CloudWatch we go and discuss about CloudWatch today. So tomorrow we'll work on EFS. EFS will take 1 hour. Fine. So what is CloudWatch? Basically, we have two monitoring tools, right? So CloudWatch and CloudTrail. So CloudTrail is for our console monitoring. CloudWatch is for our infrastructure monitoring. So CloudWatch is a service where we monitor our infrastructure. Okay, using CloudWatch, we can monitor our infrastructure, our servers, our storages, okay, our network. Using CloudWatch, we can monitor. Okay, so which is infrastructure monitoring. So we have one monitoring tool in Linux, which is NagiOS. Okay, so NagiOS, what it will do, it will monitor infrastructure. The same way in cloud we have CloudWatch. Okay, so CloudWatch will monitor infrastructure. Okay, so let us go and check. So before discussing about CloudWatch, so every server will have default monitorings. So for example, we have, so this server, Docker server, okay, 7 a.m. batch server, Docker server we have. So every server will have default monitorings. So whenever we create any server, we'll get some basic monitoring. So see here, select the server, click on monitoring. See here. So these are the monitorings. Okay, so default monitoring. Default monitoring means default metrics. See here, CPU utilization. CPU utilization one metric, and status checks failed, status checks failed. Okay, so different metrics. So network in bytes, network out bytes, network packets in, packets out, disk read bytes, disk read operations, disk write bytes, disk write operations, CPU crate usage, CPU crate balance. Okay, so like this we have some nearly 14 metrics. So by default, we'll get 14 metrics with the instance. Okay, so these are the default metrics, default monitorings, but these are not sufficient basically in real time. So these are not sufficient. So that is why we will configure detailed monitoring, CloudWatch. So CloudWatch will give you for each service will have so many metrics. Metrics and what is metrics? Metrics means it is a metrics means, for example, CPU utilization. Okay, so CPU utilization, how much CPU is utilizing, how much percentage utilizing, that is one metric. Okay, CPU related, so hard drive related, and processing and memory. Okay, and network bytes in, network bytes out, disk read operations, disk read write operations. So many metrics will be available. So we'll see that. Okay, so these are the default metrics, default monitoring. Now go to services, so management and governance, CloudWatch. Click on this. So before that, I want to start this server. I want to start this instance because we will check some metrics. Yep. So go to CloudWatch. So we can check some metrics here. That is why I started this server, right? So dashboards. See here. EC2. How many metrics we have? 89 metrics we have. Okay. So EBS volume, 90 metrics. Okay. And SNS, 4 metrics. Usage, 11 metrics. NAT gateway, 14 metrics. So every service will have some metrics. Nearly 1500 metrics we available here. 1500 metrics. Okay. So for example, if you open EC2, for instance metrics, click on this. See here. So we have started this server, right? Docker server. So it is showing now. CPU credit usage. Okay, CPU credit balance. CPU different things. So these are all metrics. So second server also it is showing. So if you open this here, first one, CPU utilization. See here, this is the graph. So this is the utilization. So 3 hours, last 3 hours utilization. So if you check here custom and 1 day or 2 days, last 2 days, see here, this is the graph. So last 5 days, see here. So this is the utilization. Okay. So last 5 days, CPU utilization of Docker server. This is the graph. So like this we can check. But normally in real time, so we create some alarms. We don't check manually. We create some alarms. So why we require alarms? So when we create alarm, what will happen? So we'll get notified through emails. So we don't do manual process in real time. So whenever we get alarm, we'll involve and we'll work on the issue, right? So in our project, so basically we automated all these things. We fully automated all activities. So we'll get notified through emails. Whenever, yeah, so we assign some resources. Okay, so they will monitor. Okay, so when they receive any alert, so accordingly they will they will resolve they will check and they will resolve the issue. If they are unable to resolve the issue, okay, so immediately they will open the bridge. So then whoever architects are available, whoever solution architects are available, so we will involve into that and we'll provide solution and we'll resolve the issue. So because, for example, when we are working on this auto scaling or CloudWatch, so if any critical issue happened, so within 1 hour we need to resolve that. Otherwise, issue will be escalated and client will involve. Client will ask you questions. So we need to provide justification to client. So that is why, so whenever, so we got any issue, major issues. Okay. So some P1 ticket will be raised, some bridge will be opened. By the time we need to involve and we need to resolve that. Okay. So if you are a senior DevOps engineer, so you need to take this, you need to take care of this kind of alerts, this kind of issues. Okay, fine. So coming back to, yeah, alarms. So metrics. Okay, these are the metrics, last 5 days metrics. So normally, so we don't manually monitor. We don't open every day and we don't check. We don't check like this. So we create alarms. Okay. So now what we will do? So we'll create some alarms. Click on alarm. Okay. So now I want to create one alarm here. So alarm means it is a alert. So whenever any issue happen, you will get some alert through email or through mobile alerts also we can create. Okay, fine. So here only billing alarms we can create in our test lab. Okay, other alarms we can't create. So billing alarms we can create here. Okay, so I'll show you some alarm. We'll create one alarm and and we check that. Okay, so click on create alarm. Okay, so here we need to select some metric, select metric. Okay, let us check that. Select metric, CPU utilization. See here. Yes, CPU utilization also we can create, but it will not be activated. We should not activate this. Okay, so if you activate this, bill will be generated. Don't activate this. So namespace AWS EC2, metric name CPU utilization. So instance ID, this is the instance ID. Instance name, this is the instance name. So go down here. So period, 5 minutes, every 5 minutes it will monitor. Statistic, average, you can give. So this period you can customize. If you want to create 15 minutes or 1 hour or 1 minute, you can modify. So by default, it is giving 5 minutes. Threshold type, okay, so static you can give. So whenever CPU utilization is greater than threshold or greater than equal 90%. So click next here. See here. So notifications, where you want to get, how to, yeah. So we need to add some notifications here. Select an existing SNS topic. SNS, again, SNS came into picture here. See here. Okay, select an existing SNS or create new topic. So create new topic. So topic name means group. Okay, so DevOps group. So email addresses, DevOps already exist. DevOps group. Okay, so email address. Okay, so create topic. So these are the notifications basically. So create topic, click on this. So one topic is created here. So this is the email ID. So normally in real projects, we don't give individual IDs. We give group IDs, DL names. DL means so that particular group ID. So for example, DevOps group is there. In DevOps group, we are 15 engineers or 10 engineers. That group we need to mention here. So that what will happen whenever any alert trigger, that alert will be triggered through your group. So everyone can check that. Okay. So go down here. So from here you can create auto scaling also. You can attach to auto scaling also to your CloudWatch. Okay. So EC2 action, no need to give anything here. So system manager action, not required. Click on next. Alarm name. So CPU utilization. So alarm description. It is optional. So if you want to give, you can give. Click on next. So go down here. Create alarm. So when you create alarm, so it will give you some. So it will send to you. It will send to your email ID. It will send to your email, right? So we need to log in into email. We need to validate that. Then only it will be activated. So don't activate that because when you activate, so CloudWatch is not free of cost. Bill will be generated. So create alarm. See here. So this is the alarm. CPU utilization, insufficient data, CPU utilization 90%. Okay, so what it is saying here, pending confirmation. So if you open this, see here. So now you need to log in into your email ID and you need to validate that. Once you validate that, it will be activated. So don't activate this. If you activate this, bill will be started. Okay, so don't activate this. So like this, whatever alerts, whatever metrics you want to create. So not only CPU utilization, billing alerts you can create. Okay, and disk read operations, disk write operations, network bytes in, network bytes out. So many alerts you can create. So many metrics you can create. Okay, and the next one is, this is alarms. Next one is logs. Okay, so logs when we get any alarm. So normally in real time, so for example, we are working on some Windows server as a admin or some monitoring team, monitoring person. So we are working on Windows server. So for example, some service is down or else some resources are deleted by someone. Where we check that? First thing, where we check that? Okay, so we directly go to event viewer. Event viewer means logs, right? Event viewer means logs. First we will check logs, right? The same way here also we'll get some logs. Okay, so we need to check logs first. Next one is the metrics. So these are the metrics, different metrics we can create. CPU utilization, discrete. So one metric we created here, only CPU utilization. Like this, so many metrics we can create like here. Okay, and events. Events means rules. Different rules we can create. Okay, rules means, so normally, even though this using these rules, we can start EC2 instance, we can stop EC2 instance also. Okay, but subscription is required. So in test lab, it is not possible. Subscription required. Okay, so server lens, container insights. Okay, these are normally we don't use this. Lambda insights. Okay, so different settings, different things. So up to here we use normally. Okay, so these are the licensing part. Okay, enterprise level we use this. Okay, this is a way we can create alerts, CloudWatch alarms. Right, so this is a, yeah, don't enable this. So pending confirmation it is asking. If you go to your email ID, you will get some validation link. Okay, you need to validate that. Once you validate that, it will be activated. Okay, don't activate this. Fine, so I'm deleting this. Yeah, so let us go and check our content. What are the services are still we have to discuss. Yeah, AWS services. So still we have EFS is pending. So tomorrow we will work on EFS, Elastic File System. So Glacier also there, right? Glacier. It will not take much time. If possible, we'll cover tomorrow itself. Glacier. So EFS is there, Glacier is there, and CloudWatch completed.
Sir, load balancer is not.
Yeah, load balancer is not there basically here. Load balancer we can consider as a auto scaling. Load balancer we can consider as a auto scaling. So don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, only EFS and Glacier we have.
Elastic block storage, did we discuss that?
Yeah, EBS volumes we discussed, right? Elastic block storage. EBS volumes. Yeah, tomorrow we'll cover this EFS and Glacier. With this, we are completing AWS services. Right. So from Monday onwards, we'll start working on Linux sessions. Linux will take 3 days. So once complete that, we'll start working on DevOps.
Sir, EBS is not discussed.
Sorry?
EBS is not discussed.
EBS elastic block storage. Okay. EBS volumes we discussed, right? EBS we covered already. Elastic
No,
block
sir,
storage.
I have noted that we have not discussed.
Okay, no problem. I'll give you.
You have just given the full form and only what is the level of storage and stuff, but in detail we have not discussed.
Okay. So we have EBS volume we convert into snapshot. Again we created EBS volume and we attached to server, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is covered, I think, already. So EBS volume, we have terminated in server, and that volume was available by the time we convert into, we have taken snapshot. Again, that snapshot we convert into EBS volume, and that volume attached to server, right? So just check the video.
Okay, that's what EBS is.
Yeah, so you can check the video once. If it is not covered, definitely I'll take it. No issues. No issues.
RDF is not there.
Sorry, can we come again?
RDF, RBF, what is the, I don't know, RDF.
RDS, yeah, RDS is not in our course actually. RDS and other databases. Okay, so database part is not, because our target is DevOps. Okay, so we don't think like so for as a DevOps engineer we can work on cloud platform. Okay, so our target is DevOps. So if you want to be a cloud engineer, so there is no scope. If you want to be a DevOps engineer, you will have more scope. So our target is DevOps. So DevOps tools, each and every tool will go deep dive. So platform is required for DevOps. So whatever services required for a DevOps engineer, that services we are discussing here. So databases, other things we don't require basically. So so our target is DevOps. Okay. So if you are good in DevOps tools, you don't require nothing. Platform, how to create EC2 instance, that is enough. Because you are DevOps engineer. You will do automation, you will do. So Ansible, you work on Ansible, Kubernetes, Terraform, right? Yeah, that is why we designed like this. So these are the AWS services, these are the Azure services, so these are the GCP services. So this much is enough to you. So don't think like beyond the limits, beyond this, we don't require basically. Okay, so platform also currently organizations are looking for at least 2 platforms. Earlier, if you have only one AWS or GCP with DevOps, so project teams used to consider. So currently trend has changed. At least 2 platforms required here. So that is why, so we designed like this. Okay, fine. So we stop here for today. Tomorrow we'll work on EFS and Glacier. Okay, so EFS is a bit command line. Okay, so but very important. EFS is important. Fine, so we stop here for today. So you can practice CloudWatch and auto scaling, vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. If you have any questions, you can post in the group. So we'll discuss that. Fine, so we stop here for today. Thank you all.